My name is Zira. For a long time, I believed love meant being the person someone ran to when the world became too heavy. I believed that if I gave enough, stayed enough, and waited enough, one day I would be chosen. I did not know that being someone's safe place does not mean you are their destination. Sometimes, you are only the shelter they rest in before continuing their journey to someone else. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need hope, healing, and the courage to let go. Zira met Liamer on a rainy evening that seemed too ordinary to change a life. The cafe was quiet, the kind of place where the hum of the coffee machine sounded louder than human voices. Zira had been sitting alone with her laptop, pretending to work while secretly watching the rain slide down the glass window. Liamer came in soaked, hair damp, jacket heavy with water. He looked around like someone searching for a familiar face in a place full of strangers. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, pointing to the chair across from her. Zira shook her head. "No, you can sit." That was how it started. No fireworks. No dramatic moment. Just two tired people sharing a small table and warm silence. He thanked her, ordered coffee, and sighed like someone who had been carrying too much for too long. "You look like you had a long day," Zira said, surprising herself with how easily the words came. Liamer laughed softly. "Long year," he corrected. "But today was the worst of it." She smiled gently. "Then you picked the right place to rest." Those words stayed with him. He told her later that night that something about her voice made him feel like he could finally breathe. They talked until the rain stopped and the cafe lights dimmed. He told her about his work, the pressure from his family, the woman he had loved once and could not fully let go of. Zira listened, not knowing she was already stepping into a role she would never escape. From that evening, Liamer began to appear in her life in quiet ways. A message when he couldn't sleep. A call when his thoughts became too loud. A visit when he felt lonely in a room full of people. Zira was always there. She believed love was built from showing up, again and again. "You're the only person I can talk to," he once told her, his voice low over the phone. Zira felt her heart soften. "I'm glad you feel safe with me." "I do," he said. "You make things feel lighter." Those words became her hope. She mistook comfort for commitment, closeness for choice. She watched him struggle with his past, watched him go back and forth between moving on and holding on to what hurt him. Each time, she stood beside him, holding his hand while he healed wounds she did not cause. One evening, they walked along a quiet street lit by yellow streetlights. The city felt asleep, and their footsteps echoed like secrets. "Why do you always come to me when you're hurting?" Zira asked softly. Liamer stopped walking. He looked at her with eyes full of gratitude. "Because you don't judge me. You don't rush me. You let me be broken." Zira smiled, even though something inside her ached. "And what about when you're happy?" He hesitated. "I don't know. I guess I never thought about it." That hesitation was the first crack in her heart. But she ignored it. She believed patience could turn hesitation into certainty. Months passed. Their connection grew deeper, heavier, more intimate in ways that had no clear name. They shared meals, late-night talks, laughter that sounded like comfort. People around them assumed they were together. One day, her friend Nea asked directly, "So, is he your man now?" Zira hesitated. "Not exactly." Nea frowned. "Then what is he?" Zira did not have an answer. She only knew how it felt when Liamer leaned on her shoulder, how safe he seemed in her arms. She only knew how empty she felt when he left. The truth revealed itself on a quiet afternoon. Zira had gone to surprise him at his apartment with food she had cooked. She stood outside his door, smiling to herself. She raised her hand to knock, then froze when she heard his voice inside. "I'm not over you," Liamer said, speaking to someone on the phone. "I keep trying, but it's not working. I think about you all the time." Zira's heart sank into her chest. "I know," he continued, "but I can't come back like this. I'm not ready. I need time." Silence followed, heavy and cruel. Zira slowly lowered her hand. She realized she was standing at the door of a life she was never meant to enter. When he opened the door and saw her, his face changed. Guilt crossed his eyes. "How long have you been standing there?" he asked. "Long enough," Zira replied quietly. They stood in silence. The food in her hands grew cold. "I didn't mean to hurt you," Liamer said. "I know," she replied. "You never meant to choose me either." Her words cut through the space between them. He looked away, unable to deny it. "You're my safe place, Zira," he said. "I don't know what I'd do without you." Zira's voice trembled. Being your safe place is killing me. He reached out to touch her hand, but she stepped back. You come to me when you're breaking, but when you're healing, you walk toward someone else. He had no answer. That night, Zira walked home alone, the streets feeling longer than they ever had. She cried quietly, not because she was unloved, but because she was loved in a way that did not choose her. She realized she had built her world around being there for him, but he had never built a future with her in it. She lay on her bed, staring at the ceiling, and whispered to herself, I deserve to be more than a place you hide. But knowing that and believing it were two different things. Zira did not stop loving Liamer after the night she stood outside his door and heard the truth. Love does not turn off like a light. It lingers in the corners of the heart, in the habits of caring, in the reflex to reach for someone who has always been there. But something inside her changed. The softness remained, yet a quiet distance began to grow, the kind that forms when a person finally sees the shape of their own pain. For days, she did not answer his calls. She read his messages and set her phone face down on the table. Her chest felt tight each time his name appeared on the screen. Zira, I'm sorry, one message read. Can we talk? I need you. She stared at the words I need you and felt a strange tiredness. Needed kept her close to him for too long. She wondered what it would feel like to be wanted instead. When she finally agreed to meet him, it was in the same cafe where they first met. Rain did not fall that day. The sun was bright, honest, and unkind in the way it showed everything clearly. Liamer arrived early and waited with his hands folded, eyes searching the door. When Zira walked in, he stood as if relief had lifted him from his chair. I'm glad you came, he said. Zira sat across from him. I came to hear you speak, not to carry your pain for you. He swallowed. I didn't mean to use you. I know, she replied. But intention doesn't erase impact. They sat in silence for a moment. The cafe felt louder than before, filled with voices of people who were choosing each other without fear. I've been trying to figure myself out, Liamer said. You're the only person who understands me. Zira met his eyes. Understanding you cost me understanding myself. He flinched. That's not fair. Neither is asking me to stay in the shadows while you chase the light somewhere else. His voice softened. I care about you. I know, she said gently. But caring is not choosing. The words hovered between them like a truth neither could escape. Liamer reached for her hand, but she let her fingers remain still on the table. Tell me, Zira said, her voice steady. If the woman from your past called you right now and said she was ready, what would you do? He did not answer. That silence answered for him. After that day, Zira began to build small boundaries. She stopped being the first person he called when his nights grew heavy. She no longer rushed to his side when he felt lost. Each step away felt like tearing a piece of herself free, but with every tear came a strange sense of space to breathe. Her friend Nea noticed the change. You look lighter, Nea said one afternoon as they walked through a quiet park. I feel heavier, Zira replied. That's the weight of choosing yourself. It's heavy at first. Zira wanted to believe her. Weeks later, Liamer showed up unannounced at her apartment. His eyes were tired, his voice fragile. I messed up, he said. With who? Zira asked softly. With her, he admitted. I went back, and now everything feels worse. Zira closed her eyes for a second. This was the cycle she knew too well. He returned to her when his hope broke. Come in, she said after a long pause. They sat on opposite ends of her small sofa. He spoke about disappointment, about old wounds reopening, about how nothing ever worked the way he hoped. Zira listened, but her heart no longer leaned forward the way it used to. You're still my safe place, he said quietly. Zira nodded. I know, but I don't want to be only that anymore. He looked at her, confused. What do you mean? I mean, I'm tired of being where you rest between battles you choose to fight for someone else. His voice cracked. I don't know how to love properly. That's not my wound to heal, Zira said. It's yours. For the first time, she did not stay late into the night holding his pain. She stood and opened the door. I hope you find what you're looking for, she said. But I can't be your hiding place anymore. When the door closed behind him, Zira leaned against it and slid down to the floor. Tears came, but they were different now. They were not the tears of someone begging to be chosen. They were the tears of someone learning to let go. Days turned into months. Zira focused on her own life again. Her work, her quiet mornings, the small joys she had ignored while waiting for Liamer's storms to pass. She learned how silence could be peaceful, not lonely. She learned that being alone did not mean being unloved. Then she met Aaron. It was nothing dramatic. They met through a mutual friend at a small gathering. Aaron's presence was calm in a way Zira was not used to. He listened without trying to fix. He laughed easily. He did not bring heavy stories that needed saving. "You don't have to carry me," Aaron said once when she apologized for not replying to his message quickly. "I can stand on my own." Those words startled her. She realized how deeply she had been shaped by carrying someone else. Slowly, carefully, she allowed herself to feel something new. It was gentle. It did not demand sacrifice. It did not require her to disappear into someone else's needs. But just as her heart began to open, Liamer returned with news that unsettled everything. "I think I'm finally ready," he said when they met by chance on a quiet street. "Ready to let go of the past. Ready to choose you." Zira looked at him and felt the old ache stir. This was the moment she had once prayed for. "Why now?" she asked. "Because I lost you," he said. Zira's voice was soft but firm. "That's not choosing me. That's missing your shelter." He reached for her, desperation in his eyes. "Don't you still love me?" Zira took a breath. "I do. But love is not enough when it keeps breaking you." She turned away, her heart trembling with the weight of her choice. Zira walked away from Liamer with slow, steady steps, as though her body understood the weight of the moment better than her heart did. Every part of her wanted to turn back, to run into the comfort of what she had known for so long. Love has a memory. It remembers where it once felt safe, even when that safety was incomplete. But she kept walking, because for the first time, she was choosing not what felt familiar, but what felt right. That night, she could not sleep. The city hummed outside her window, distant sounds of traffic and laughter drifting into her quiet room. She lay on her back, staring at the ceiling, replaying Liamer's words. "I'm finally ready to choose you." The sentence sounded like hope. But hope that arrives only when everything else has failed is not love. It is fear of being alone. Zira pressed her palm to her chest and whispered, "I deserve to be chosen first, not last." In the days that followed, Liamer tried to reach her. Messages came in waves. "I've been thinking about us. I made a mistake letting you go. Can we talk one more time?" Zira did not reply. Silence, she was learning, could be an answer too. Each unread message was a small act of courage, a quiet promise to herself that she would not return to the role of comfort without commitment. Aaron noticed the heaviness in her eyes when they met for coffee. "You're carrying something," he said gently. Zira nodded. "Someone from my past is trying to come back." Aaron did not look threatened. He did not rush to compete. He simply asked, "What do you want?" The question felt simple, but it opened a door Zira had never fully stepped through. What did she want beyond being needed? She closed her eyes for a moment and listened to herself. "I want to be with someone who chooses me without being pushed by loss," she said. "I want to feel safe without disappearing." Aaron smiled softly. "Then don't disappear." They sat in easy silence. Zira realized how different this felt. There was no pressure to heal him, no fear of being abandoned the moment his life became brighter. It was not the loud fire of longing she had felt with Liamer. It was a steady warmth. Still, closure tugged at her. A part of her needed to say goodbye properly, not to keep the door open, but to close it with honesty. She agreed to meet Liamer one last time. They met in a quiet park where evening light filtered through tall trees. The air was cool, the kind that makes breathing feel clean. Liamer looked hopeful when he saw her, like a man waiting to be forgiven before he had fully understood what forgiveness meant. "I'm glad you came," he said. "I came to be honest," Zira replied. They walked slowly along the path. For a while neither spoke. The silence was not heavy this time. It was clear. "I was wrong," Liamer said finally. "I kept you close because you made me feel safe, but I never asked myself what I was giving you in return." Zira nodded. "You gave me pieces. I needed a whole choice." He stopped walking. "Can you forgive me?" Zira thought about all the nights she had stayed awake waiting for him, all the times she had been strong for both of them. Forgiveness did not mean returning to the same place. It meant releasing the weight of anger she no longer wanted to carry. "I forgive you," she said. "Not because you asked, but because I don't want this pain to follow me into the life I'm building." His eyes softened. "Does that mean there's still a chance?" Zira met his gaze. "No. It means I'm choosing myself." The words felt powerful, not dramatic, just true. Liamer's shoulders sank, as though he had finally understood the cost of his choices. "I hope you find someone who loves you the way you deserve," he said quietly. "I hope you learn how to choose before you lose," Zira replied. They parted without promises. As Zira walked away, she did not feel the familiar pull to look back. The chapter had closed. Weeks passed. Zira allowed her life to grow in gentle ways. She laughed more easily. She slept better. She found joy in small routines, morning walks, music playing while she cooked, conversations that did not leave her drained. With Aaron, things unfolded slowly, without urgency. He did not need her to save him. He wanted to know her. One evening, as they sat on a balcony watching the city lights come alive, Aaron turned to her. "You don't hide as much anymore," he said. Zira smiled. "I used to think love meant making space for someone else's pain. Now I know it also means making space for my own happiness." He reached for her hand, not to pull her closer, but to rest beside her. The gesture felt like a quiet promise of presence, not possession. In that moment, Zira understood something she had spent so long learning the hard way. Being someone's safe place is beautiful, but being chosen is sacred. Love should not be a waiting room. It should be a home. Later that night, Zira wrote in her journal, words she wished she could send to the girl she once was. "You were never wrong for loving deeply. You were only wrong for believing love should hurt to be real. You can be kind without breaking yourself. You can be soft and still walk away. The heart that heals learns to choose itself first." She closed the journal and rested her head against the window, watching her reflection in the glass. For the first time in a long time, she did not see a woman waiting to be chosen. She saw a woman who had chosen herself. And in choosing herself, she finally found the kind of love that did not need her to disappear to exist. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Your support helps these stories reach hearts that need healing, courage, and the strength to choose themselves.